friends, hi, my name is Mia and this is my virtual vanity, a place where we both love makeup and we're quite critical of it. I realized I haven't talked about some faves and flops on my channel in a long time. Before we start, I would love it if you would tell me in the comments down below what your latest favorites have been, or if there's something that you were really looking forward to and, disappointed you. Let's start with the flops because they're the holy trinity of suck for me, and I am going to start, unfortunately, with the Espresso Foundation. Espresso is a small Italian brand. I really wanted to love this. Like, I was this close to throwing holy water at this thing. I don't know, grabbing Solomon's key, performing a demonic ritual, creating a summoning circle. Like, I was this ready to do the unspeakable to make this work, but unfortunately, this does not get along well with my skin. For reference, I have a drier skin type. It's starting to be a bit more plump and hydrated as I age, which weird. I did look at reviews online before purchasing this. Lots of Italian influencers really liked it. What I did not take into consideration is that they, one, probably have a different skin type than me, and second, they live in a more humid climate than I do. Both things which can definitely affect how foundation wears on you and how it sinks into your skin. Now, for me, this foundation was a huge flop. The shade match was fine. The problem was that it sat on top of my skin instead of wanting to melt into it. Not only that, but it tended to settle into all of the dry spots that I was not aware of having, especially in this area over here and around the nose and right, on the nose itself. It also melted off my face incredibly fast, leaving me with spotty coverage, particularly in the T-zone area, in like 4 or 5 hours time, which usually doesn't really happen to me. I tried using it with different primers. I tried using it with different application methods. Hands, sponge, brush. I tried adding more of it. I tried adding less of it because, it's a bit of an expensive foundation for me, right? It's mid-range, I would say, in pricing. Yeah, no, as I said, I was about to do a handstand and put this foundation on myself upside down or something. It's just it doesn't want to work on me. Just simply does not want to work on me. Also, I just realized that I should mention another flop. So I lied, it's not a holy trinity of suck, it's a holy quartet of disappointment. The other foundation that really disappointed me, and I've decided this after like not even 2 weeks of use, is the Tinted Serum thing from Catrice. First thing that hits you is the smell. Now, I've used Catrice products before. I love their concealer. Everyone kept saying, oh, that thing has a smell, Mia. You should mention that it has a smell. And I did mention it, but I didn't get what they were talking about. Now I do. It reeks of perfume. Also, poor shade match, but that's on me. That's on me and the store lights. Unfortunately, it's yet again one of those things that promises to be very hydrating, very skin-like, and sits on top of the skin. Definitely not as bad as the Espresso Foundation, but it's not doing what I thought a tinted serum would do. And I'm honestly put off trying more foundations for the time being. I'm just gonna stick with my tried and true Makeup Forever reboot, repurchase that, and be done with. Because I kept having such shitty makeup days at work and then having to touch up, and I don't want to subject myself to that anymore. I love myself more than that. I did try to mix the two, and I will probably use that as my filming foundation. It's actually what I have on right now because the camera is way more forgiving than real life. And I don't want to toss in the trash the equivalent of $50-something just because these two do not want to work for me. You don't want to work with me, don't worry, I will fucking make you. Another flop for me was the Essence Poreless Partner Primer. I have been really wanting a pore perfecting, smoothing type of primer. This is okay as a primer. It helps with lasting time, but it doesn't do what it says it does. And I mean, yeah, it's cheap, But why are you lying to me? Why are you completing your makeup Tinder profile with factual lies? If you say you're gonna fill in my pores and make me perfected, why are you not doing that? That's like saying you're gonna take me to a date to an expensive restaurant and then you take me out to Olive Garden and we also split halfsies. Another thing that has been a flop has been the Sephora Smoothing and Setting Powder, which I really wanted to love, but it really does nothing for me. Now, I did use it mostly with these two floppy foundations and twice with my Holy Grail, the Reboot. And I wasn't impressed, but I'm going to try and keep making it work because it was quite expensive. Let me think. That was like $18. So I will probably declutter it or pass it on only after I've decided that, you know, I just can't deal with it anymore. But yeah, very disappointed. Compared to all of the other powders that I have in my collection, this just doesn't do the trick. With that negativity out of the way, like, believe me, I don't necessarily enjoy having flops and I don't necessarily enjoy being negative, but I have to call a spade a spade. I buy almost everything in my collection with my own money. That's money out the drain for me, unfortunately. Let's talk about all of the things that I liked, so we can get back to a zen moment, right? Charlotte Tilbury Flawless Filter and the Pillow Talk Dark, which I'm actually wearing at the moment, were such a happy situation for me because I've been wanting both for a long time and I finally bit the bullet and did an order, and I was like praying, I was like, please don't let this be a flop because I don't want to waste my money like this, right? Happy to say that the Flawless Filter is absolutely lovely. I wear it mostly under foundation or on no makeup days when I don't really wear base makeup. It just gives a very luminous, healthy, beautiful glow no matter what angle you look at it from. Also, just as a note on application, I don't use it all over the face because I am not trying to glow in the dark. I use it on the high points of my face, a little bit on the forehead over here, and if I really want to look extra sculpted, I also add a touch on here to define the jawline. Really lovely. I really adore this product. Like, I understand the hype, and maybe there are things that are less expensive that can do the same thing, but sometimes, you know, you just want the expensive thing, right? You just want to feel like a bougie bad bitch. Also, Pillow Talk Dark is just beautiful. Like, this is what I'm wearing right now. I think it's so flattering, especially with like the rest of the contrast that I have going on my features. And it's like a dark lipstick that's work appropriate, if that makes sense. It's just very beautiful, very elegant, and it's also a really nice hydrating formula that's quite long lasting for this type of a bullet creamy lipstick. Nice. Another lip fave has been the Catrice Powerfull 5 lip oil. I've got 2 shades of that and it's perfect. It's perfect no matter what your makeup style is. It can be very subtle. It can, you know, complement a very powerful, strong eye look. It's beautiful even if you're not wearing any makeup. And the big bonus about these is that besides the fact that they give like a slight tint to your lips, they're also really nourishing, really hydrating. My lips really need that always from a lip product. Great stuff. I've been really getting again into the Too Faced Milk Chocolate Soleil bronzer, an oldie but a goodie. I kind of like tend to obsess over bronzers and I would use one for months on end, and I'm kind of done with using the Too Faced, you know, the one that looks like a cake. God, it is Sweetie Pie, the Sweetie Pie one, because we're out of winter. And I switched to Milk Chocolate Soleil now that I'm starting to slowly go away from my winter shade because I have been spending more time in the sun. Beautiful formula, seamless, it still performs so well. I'm so happy that I bit the bullet and purchased this in a time where I didn't trust any bronzer to not be orange on me. Let's talk eyeshadow. And I'm going to start with a bit of a boring faves and then move on into the more exciting, sparkly ones. I've been really liking Sydney Grace Officer, but as a liner, to like line my lashes discreetly. What I really like doing is putting on eyeshadow, especially if I'm going to work and can't be arsed with the precision of a cat eye. I just take like an eyebrow brush, like one of those thin ones, and just line the edge of my lashes with a dark shadow. And I've been using the black from the Kaleidos, one of the Futurism palettes, for a long time. But then as I was decluttering my single shadows, I noticed that this one shade that was quite dark and I hadn't used at all. Like, I don't know why I bought that. I hadn't used it, not once, and I've had it for like 4 years. And I decided, why don't I use this as liner? And it's so beautiful as a liner because it's dark enough that it registers and it makes my lash line fuller. But it's also got like a slight tinge of violet mauve to it. Like, it's a very dark, desaturated grayish violet mauve that makes my eye color pop. And also for more subtle makeup looks when I cosplay as a serious business corporate girly that does work appropriate makeup, it's gorgeous. Another boring fave is the rom&nd, spelled as rom&nd palette in Shade and Shadow Garden, which has been the backbone of my looks since I got it. This palette's back must be hurting from carrying my makeup for so long. Basically, these are very subtle skin tone like shades on me, so whenever I'm lazy and don't want to do a proper look, I would just pop one of these in the crease and then the things that I'm talking about next on the lid. Or I will always pull for this when I'm doing a more complicated look for transition shades or shades that I can build up on and then add the darker colors. And that's because I prefer working in a watercolor style of layering for my makeup looks. I go from light to dark and layered. I don't necessarily blend the edges, which can be, creatively speaking, sometimes limiting, but it's what I love doing and what I find most relaxing, right? Anyway, this is such a staple. I love it. I don't know how I lived my life until now without it. I mentioned that I have been feeling quite lazy lately, especially since I've had quite poor sleep, but I don't want to give up my makeup morning time. It helps me start the day right. So I've been doing quick matte in the crease and then something really pretty, really special on the eye. And for that, I've kind of created custom quads, custom palettes with different things that I can use really quickly. Just grab for them, don't think about it. I have a quad that has the following shades in it, and it's got Colourpop, Tea Garden, Glassable, Glamshop Chinese Silk, and Bernovich 168. These are great as one shadow looks. You can also like kind of forget to add a matte in the crease and you can just blend those out and they will still look beautiful and multi-dimensional. Beautiful, beautiful singles. When you're on the go, when you want something duochrome, when you want something beautiful and complex without too much work, these are great. If I want to add something to them, I have a special topper palette, and the ones that I've been using the most out of that topper palette have been the Bernovich topper shadows. That's kind of the category that I would put them in because they've got like a translucent or transparent base and then flecks of shimmer in it. So it's the X54, which is a blue, X52, which is a pink, X02, which is a green gold, X53, which is gold, and then I've got X09, which has a darker like top, translucent top base compared to the others, but it's got all sorts of like multicolored, multi-dimensional flecks of beauty in it. Been really enjoying that. This has been it for makeup. Let's go towards miscellaneous beauty stuff and lifestyle stuff. I've been really enjoying 3 perfumes lately. D Squared Redwood has been my staple this whole winter because it's a full sensual perfume without being heavy and without being sexy. It's got body to it. It's a bit woodsy. It's got berry tones. The name is very apt. I don't know how to describe it. It is truly a beautiful perfume that sits a bit heavier but isn't overpowering. I've also been really enjoying Maison Margiela on a Date, which is their newest release. This is boozy. This smells like wine, like grapes, floral. It reminds me of a very sweet type of wine where you can kind of feel the sugar and you can feel the fruit in it. Very, very beautiful and kind of multi-layered, multi-dimensional perfume that changes as it ages on your skin. I used to be one of those girlies that said, I'll never buy expensive perfume, like my so much, too expensive. Like, that was literally me. And then I got some samples and was proven wrong, and I kind of hate that for me because they're fucking expensive. And I'm starting to wish I had cheaper tastes. Honestly, it would be so much better for me, but it's beautiful. But regarding cheaper tastes, I've been also really enjoying Tesori d'Oriente Byzantium. This is again a heavier perfume, but this one is sexier, but it's a refined sexy. It's not an inviting one, it's a worship me, admire me, look at me from afar, touch me with your eyes only type of perfume that doesn't necessarily have the complexity of the others, but it's still striking. And this one is very rose based. It's again a little bit woody, but the rose tones are the ones that completely steal the show. It's a type of perfume that I would have hated even 5 or 6 years ago, but it seems that as I'm aging, as my personality changes, I'm kind of straying away from the more inoffensive, clean perfumes and more to the perfumes that captivate attention. I don't know. It's very interesting how preferences change, you know, with age and with everything else going on in life. Something that's a bit of a hair favorite is the Catrice Nutritive Nectar Thermique. Yeah, my accent is shit, it is what it is, whatever. I've got very difficult hair. It's very floofy, it's thick, it's voluminous. The downside is that it's got a very wiry sort of texture. It does what it wants to do, not what I want it to do. And it's also very coarse. This product, I apply it after I wash my hair, after I've kind of like let out, like wrung out a bit, like 50% of the water in it. I put like this little dot in my hands, just, you know, spread it around, add it in. It makes my hair so beautifully soft. Doesn't matter if I blow dry it, if I air dry it, if I just diffuse it. It's just a beautiful, beautiful product, and for my very, very coarse hair, it's been a godsend, and it's really worth the high price tag, unfortunately. Lifestyle faves. I've been really enjoying the podcast Philosophize This. Philosophy is like my new interest lately, and what I really enjoy about Philosophize This is that it kind of takes you in chronological order first, and then it starts moving around various more modern philosophers and philosophy concepts. And the fact that it's taking you from chronological order has been really helpful to me, because I first listen to the podcast episode and then I read fully or partially what it talks about, and then I can kind of compare and contrast with my own opinions. This whole thing opened my eyes to the wonders of properly studying philosophy and building on it on a chronological order. I've finished with Plato, sort of. I still have to read the Republic, but that's really, really daunting. I went to the Socratics, I'm kind of done with them, and Marcus, like the Stoics and the rest of those mad lads I've read in the past. It's really been very interesting. Another lifestyle fave is the Planescape setting in Dungeons and Dragons. So, story, I recently, like, okay, maybe half a year, joined a Dungeons and Dragons campaign that my friends told me, oh, you're gonna enjoy this, we need another person. We'll love it. And I do love it. My character is an Eladrin elf. He's a disaster bisexual twink. I love this guy so much. I really do love him, even though I put him through so much torture. Anyway, and the campaign setting is in Planescape. Planescape is, in my opinion, one of the most interesting Dungeons and Dragons settings that I've had the pleasure to play in. Because usually other Dungeons and Dragons settings, they kind of put you into a place. Like, you play in Neverwinter, you play in Baldur's Gate, you play in this location or the other location. Planescape gives you the whole multiverse. You've got multiple planes of good and evil and neutrality. You've got multiple planes of different types of existences, multiple planes that relate to gods and other modes of existing. And it's such a philosophical type of setting because it forces you to take a look at your own morality and your own philosophical stances depending on the planes that you and your characters travel in. Not only that, but certain planes have different rules, and it really makes you think, how am I gonna make my generally good character act in a place that is set to sabotage his every generous action? I love it. A complex, fulfilling cosmology that I've only started to dip my toes into, and it never ends. It's so good. Highly, highly recommend if you're into Dungeons and Dragons and want a more philosophical, debatey type of experience, go join a Planescape game. However, if you're the type of Dungeons and Dragons player that kind of likes to whack things, just go to point A, point B, save the princess, do your own hero adventuring thing, you might not enjoy it. Another favorite is the book Bright Dead Things by Ada Limon, and this is a poetry book. I've been on a poetry kick for the past 1.5 years, whereas before I wasn't really reading poetry a lot, and I've been slowly starting to discover my poetry preferences and what I actually like. Now, I usually like poetry that's more condensed and packs a punch. I don't like poetry that kind of takes me on a long journey, and I want something that really hits me in the gut properly. I want the poetry to take me by the hair and drag me and just make me cry, right? That's the kind of stuff that I want. Ada Limon is a very particular case for me because I start reading the poems that she has and I'm like, what the hell is this woman talking? Can you just get to the point? Like, there's always this initial feeling of, can you just get to the point already, Miss Ada? And then in the last few sections of the poem, she just sucker punches me. Everything ties in together so well to the point where I don't feel like she lost my time with all of the meandering. I feel like in hindsight, she was using all of that to make those last bits more powerful. So powerful that after a couple of them, I just kind of like had to sit back and just stare into the distance, process it a bit. Just very beautiful, very, very beautiful work by Ada Limon. Not my usually poetry style, but I have to give it to her that she's really making me come around to this more journal style of poetry, I would say. Anyway, this has been it. These have been my faves and flops and, you know, some other bits and bobs from my my life in the past few months. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please don't forget to share with me your faves and flops down below. Have a wonderful morning, evening, second breakfast, third lunch, or whatever it is you're from. Bye!